giving money can help multiply in so many ways with that as well. So if your congregation says, well, we really don't feel like we're called to do something direct, the fundraising part is important. Also related to that in terms of LSS and their ministry, too, for disaster case managers, we're going to be able to help fund that, and there's some other federal programs that may be able to do case management there as well. But unfortunately, the system for the government is that they expect the faith community to help out. When I was doing the work in the Midwest, that we received only about 80% of our reimbursements, our regular services, 80 to 90%. So we had to fundraise the rest. Same thing's true with LSS and disaster work. That's just for the staff. That has nothing to do with the rebuilding money. So then also now in terms of rebuilding with the Synod, we're in conversation for the congregations that were most severely impacted, that we're going to depend upon them to give some advice about what to do to help the congregations. That because the Missouri Synod is no longer a part of Lutheran disaster response, we have some freedom to be able to assist congregations that were impacted financially. That hasn't been the case before. We're still trying to figure out what that means, what that looks like. But we're not going to be able to rebuild congregations that had $500,000 worth of damage. If you look at the dollars that we received already. Our focus is upon helping the people of our communities to be able to recover, because then working through our congregations and social ministry organizations to be able to strengthen the community, to be able to give the witness to Christ. Because of Christ's love of us, we're responding to be able to help our neighbor in need. When it came out a few years ago, God's Work, Our Hands, with the ELCA, I had a big smile on my face, because that's exactly what disaster response work is. It's God's work using our hands with that as well. So we'll be able to do some helping for congregations, but we're not quite sure what that all looks like. It depends upon the dollars as well. The Synod also, in conversation, if I may, looking at putting a person in place to be able to help the Synod staff, to be dedicated some time to be able to do that. We're looking also at, I'm going to receive later today or first thing tomorrow, a funding proposal request for money from Lutheran Social Services of New York. We've already put out, committed $130,000 to be able to do assistance. That's both in New Jersey and Maryland, and then also here. So we have a long ways to go. It's just the beginning part of it. We're in it for the long haul. The Lutheran disaster response, as you know, we're some of the last in, when you talk formally, but also we're also the last to leave. There were many times doing my work in a state that there were like 2 or 3 of us around the table at the very end, closing down the operation, making sure that all unmet needs were addressed. And notice that word also too, address unmet needs. Helping your people to say, well, all my needs are going to be taken care of. Good luck with that. Because you can take care of all of your congregation's needs, right? Same sort of situation with Lutheran disaster response, the work of the social service agencies too. We address the unmet needs as well we can. The 3 core components that we have at Lutheran disaster response are emotional and spiritual care, volunteer coordination, and long-term recovery. The emotional and spiritual care, we're really especially concerned about care for the caregivers. So already began conversation, planted the seed with your Synod staff about providing respite retreat for those pastors that were impacted by this as well. It's still too early, and when that might be, we have to make some sense to do that. But look, we're willing to be able to help fund that as well. Volunteer coordination. If you go to our site, ldr.org, that you do see where we are helping people to be able to connect with organizations that are receiving volunteers, but also donations as well. So we have that up and going as well. And the third part is the long-term recovery, which is exactly that. We're in it for the long haul and whatever makes sense from the communities as well. Questions?